Hello, everyone, and welcome to the last of our summer edition of the Arkansas Alumni Association Lunch and Learn series. We're really glad you've joined us here today. My name is Mary Kate Harrison, and I am the Executive Projects Coordinator at the Arkansas Alumni Association. I want to thank you all for joining us today. Today, we're very fortunate that we have a special presentation for you from the Dean of the University of Arkansas Honors College, Dr. Lynda Coon. Before I begin, I'd like to ask everyone if you could please keep yourselves muted throughout the presentation so that we can hear Dean Coon as best as possible. And if you have any questions during the presentation, you can feel free to enter them in the chat and we will get to those at the end. So now it's my pleasure to introduce Dean Lynda Coon. During her time as the Dean of the Honors College, Dean Coon has launched the Honors College Forum and the Honors College Mike Lecture Series and the Honors College Signature Seminars, which are an interdisciplinary series of courses on cutting-edge issues taught by the university's top professors. Dr. Coon joined the University of Arkansas faculty in 1990 as a history professor in the Fulbright College of Arts and Sciences. She has mentored nearly 24 honors students on their thesis projects and served as honors advisor in the history department for a decade. Several of her students have been awarded SURF and Honors College research grants, and a number of them have moved on to graduate studies at institutions such as Cambridge University, Columbia University, Yale, and the University of Virginia. Prior to her time at the U of A, Dr. Coon earned her bachelor's degree in history at James Madison University and her master's and doctoral degrees in history from the University of Virginia. She served as an Associate Dean of Fine Arts and Humanities and Director of the Religious Studies program in Fulbright College, and has also led the Fulbright College Study Abroad program in Rome. And she has also chaired the Department of History from 2008 to 2013. So thanks for being here today with us, Dean Coon.
All right, thank you, Mary, and welcome alumni. Very excited to see you all back, even if it's through cyberspace. I certainly can tell you that our teaching venture this fall is going to be most unusual. And as a historian, historic for certain. So I keep telling the students to be mindful of the fact that they're living through a major disruption in history, which even 5 years from now, it's going to look kind of fantastic in the way that pretty unusual circumstances do with a little bit of perspective. So I'm going to go ahead and give you an overview of the Honors College, and we've got some beautiful visuals, many of which are done by our university relations crew. And I'm also happy to take questions on anything that you would like to ask. Oops. There you go. Jumping ahead.
Just let me know when you want me to change slides.
I certainly can. Everybody can see that, I hope. We've got this is our new branding. The Honors College, your story, your honors, which I think when people ask me what makes an honor student, I would tell you exactly what that is. Intellectual ambition coupled with a bit of daring and that willingness to create your own path. And that's what I'm going to explain how we help students do. So this first slide, you will see our beautiful residence in Gerhardt Hall. And this was in addition to the historic old Public Works Association project from the Depression. We added a new wing, and in fact, well, you'll be seeing in a minute, that's actually that's the graduate school wing there. But what I love about this photograph, one thing, it's almost as if you're going up the stairs to enter into the Honors College. But I also love these geometric designs, which were created by the Math Club, and they're all based upon mathematical principles. So let's go ahead and go up the stairs and move through our tour today. So next slide. And we're going up the stairs, and this is the actual entryway to Gerhardt Hall. In fact, you see two honor students busily scurrying up the doors. The Honors College, as many of you may know, was created in the year 2002, and it was from a super generous gift from the Walton Family Foundation. Its chief mission was to keep students, high achieving students with amazing records, who had the profiles that they could go anywhere in the country, but decided to come here because of our interesting opportunities through honors. Also, honors colleges have the ability to attract superior students from out of state, which is something we certainly have done. Now, when you gather a gifted gaggle of students, such as the ones we have in the Honors College, you have to make sure that you're giving them a super high-end academic experience. And that's what we've been working on since the Honors College was founded in 2002, and in ways that I'm going to describe today. So we have to make sure these students are well cared for academically, but also we do things to make sure they're building their next professional self. So let's go ahead and move further into our tour. Aha. Now, here's what we believe strongly. The Honors College enables you to have that intense experience that a superb liberal arts college can give you: access to faculty, access to independent research, access to innovative classwork, while still being at a Research One university. And why that's important is because research universities have a plethora of disciplines that a small liberal arts college does not have. So from biological anthropology to biomedical engineering, to having an entire school of architecture, to a cutting edge business college, to a fantastic land grant agriculture college, and then finally to an innovative education and health professions where you can work on exercise science at a super high level, but also public health. So here you see a slide of one of our alumni, actually, Bodenhammer rock star Armin Mortadzavi. And he is working with his research mentor, Roger Kepi, in the Department of Biochemistry and Chemistry. And Armin did everything that I would expect of a super ambitious honor student. That is, he published an article as lead author while he was an undergraduate in the International Journal of Biochemistry. He took advantage of multiple study abroad opportunities, including art history in Rome. He developed an intense working relationship with Professor Kepi. And in fact, Kepi was instrumental, I would say, in projecting Armin to his next phase of existence, which is an MD Ph.D. program at Georgetown University, where he went with funding, which, as you can imagine, nationally is very competitive. And he's been thriving at Georgetown's med school, only to take a year off this year to work in the National Institute of Health. And I think anyone listening to this realizes what a year to be at the NIH during this horrendous COVID-19 catastrophe that's plagued so many people and has made our entire educational enterprise very difficult. But you can see here, this is the interaction that we like to see in the Honors College between a faculty mentor and an ambitious undergraduate. And I always like to say that when Roger Kepi retires, and he's not allowed to, we'd have to replace him with 10 faculty members. He's that good. Next slide. Just to give you a sense of our scale. Now, the University of Arkansas is about 27,000 students total. We are usually anywhere between 3,500 to 3,800 honor students. So we are higher than that magical 10% that, in theory, a lot of schools say, well, we only have 10%. Actually, some of them say we only have 7% of the undergraduate population in honors. Well, we actually believe that honors should be open to more students. And again, the University of Arkansas is a land grant university, which means its fundamental mission is to serve students broadly across the state of Arkansas. So we will never be the kind of honors college that puts a college of 500 honor students in a sea of 27,000 students. We believe in access and inclusivity. So you can be an honor student in any field, any college, any discipline. And I'm a state school person. I'm very much wed to this idea. But to give you a sense of a large incoming class at the University of Arkansas, you will see that our freshman class was 1,136. This is data from 2019. But look at that GPA, which suggests that weighted GPA of 4.1. We're talking about students coming in with AP, IB, and concurrent credit. We have a super high ACT, and this is an average from a very big pool. And that we bring in, honors is a huge recruitment vehicle for the University of Arkansas. We are the uplift, right? We're the value-added uplift for the entire university. So you can see that we're making up 1/4 of that incoming class, which also can show you how talented the University of Arkansas is and its ability to attract students like these. Next slide, please. We also, as part of the gift, were given prestigious fellowships. And right now we have almost 360 Honors College fellows on campus. That's a record number, by the way, far exceeding what the Walton Family Foundation had envisioned. Each student receives about $18,000 a year. This is based upon merit. And these include our Honors College Fellows, which I just mentioned, there's almost 360, our Bodenhammer Fellows, and our Sturgis Fellows in Fulbright College. Now, Bodenhammers are named after the super amazing Dr. Lee Bodenhammer, a generous philanthropist who really wanted to help students go to the university, but also sort of create this first professional self in ways that were nationally significant. Now, the fellowships, our minimum is set by the gift is 32 ACT, minimum high school GPA of 3.8. And this is our freshman class stats, so meet them. About almost 1,000 applications. We selected 99 new fellows. And you can see, a perfect ACT score is 36. And we did have a number with perfect or near perfect scores. GPA of 4.25. For the Arkansans out there, hoot, hoot. This is your great vehicle, the Walton Family Gift, to keep the talented Arkansans in state. And you will see that we did this with 84% of our incoming class, but also that state land grant mission of thinking about making sure that we're bringing in new populations into getting a degree. Our first generation college growers, of which we have 17%. And some of these kids are from really small towns. So we're always mindful of the geography of our fellowships. Okay, next slide, please. Thank you. So what do you do when you get to be in the Honors College? I could be here all day, but I know you're busy. Probably most of you have really demanding jobs. So honors courses. One of the things since I became dean that I've been super interested in is expanding our seminars because it's a vehicle of recruitment. Again, if I'm going to compete with Swarthmore, who can give access to 10 people in a classroom constantly, I think we need to be mindful of the kind of experience that honor students are looking for when they choose a college or university. And one of those things are small classrooms. In fact, I was just talking to 2 first-year students, both of whom graduated from Haas Hall. And Haas Hall High School does a great job of this, offering small classes where there's a lot of interaction with faculty. And I think that's what we need to replicate more. And it's hard at a big research university, but the Honors College is one place you can do that. So here you see a medieval manuscripts class. The professor is Dr. Joshua Smith, an expert on medieval Welsh, a medieval literature expert, medieval Latin. He is amazing, first generation college student himself, the child of coal miners from Illinois. And you'll see in front of him stitching, she's actually making a medieval manuscript from real vellum or calfskin, is Claire Hutchinson, one of our super talented artists here at the University of Arkansas. In fact, we're going to be publishing her work in our A+ annual magazine, her poetry and her art. Just take a look at her laptop. I mean, you can see this is someone who's very invested in visual culture. So Claire is stitching together a vellum manuscript from real parchment, which the students flatten out and made like medieval monks would have done. And they're creating their own work because, as Professor Smith says, it's one thing to read about making manuscripts, but to actually do it gives you an amazing perspective into the daily life of, well, let's face it, monks largely, not only, but the people that actually made codices in the medieval period. Looking on is a brilliant classical studies major, Nina Albertson, who I think now is actually in graduate school, but certainly was a top performer in the humanities when she was here. So these are two students that I will never forget. And Professor Smith had them each write proposals for the kinds of artifacts or manuscripts the library's special collections should buy. And so we have Claire Hutchinson, who proposed early Chinese woodblocks, because that's the visual side, but also Aramaic manuscript fragments. This is what we love to hear. So these were very interactive, super interesting. I always say our courses should be something the student, Claire or Nina, looking back 50 years, will say, I remember that manuscript class. Next slide, please. And here you see our other endeavor that we do to make sure our students are competitive, study abroad. And we actually give away an enormous amount of money. This is from the Walton Family Foundation gift to send students all over the globe with funding. So here you see a group of students on our own study abroad trip. Every year since 2016, the Honors College has sent students abroad in a specialized, we call them Honors College Passport Series, in which we appoint the very best experts in a culture or in an international place to take about 16 honor students abroad for it's a short class, it's an intersession, but it is an amazing experience. So here you see the participants in Honors Passport Peru. And right here, second from the left, is Honors College Fellow Anthony Azun, who majored in biochemistry, French, and Spanish. This last year, he won a nationally competitive award, a Fulbright grant, to go to Andorra for the year, where he was teaching English and, of course, deploying his skills in French and Spanish and teaching himself Catalan. Anthony is now, and he's a first-gen student, Anthony is now at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York City, starting his MD, Ph.D. research. But he's certainly benefited from this international piece. In fact, he spent more time abroad. I think he went to Spain and France both after, this is a freshman year, after the first year of his experience here. And oh my gosh, I see all those students. I still know them all. That was such a great class. I could go on, but I better be quiet. We send students abroad for all kinds of things, a few weeks, a whole semester, or even an entire year. I had one fellow who actually went abroad 5 times. I can answer questions about that later. Next slide. Just to give you a sense in red where we've sent students. Now, of course, study abroad has rightfully halted right now. In fact, we had to pull students back who were abroad because of COVID. And I will compliment this college, but also my colleagues in the graduate school and international education who effectively brought home all of our students safely. That, by the way, was a huge undertaking. So we send these students abroad to take classes, to do research, to go into the field. And you can see the range is super impressive. Our next Honors College Passport, by the way, it will be in Japan. And we're hoping if we can't do that because of COVID in 2022, we'll just turn it around for 2023. So next slide, please. Another important part of the Honors College is undergraduate research. Again, we have a great fund for undergraduate research, which is part of that original Walton gift, where we give out about $800,000 a year to undergraduates. We pay them to do research, which I think is especially here you see Honors College fellow Olga Breshkina. And she was somebody who came to the University of Arkansas dying to do research in biomedical engineering. And she's with her mentor, Dr. Morten Jensen. And together they worked on creating equipment to treat heart valve disease. Now, Olga became a Goldwater Fellow, which is the most prestigious undergraduate STEM award in this country. She's now in a joint Ph.D. program between Georgia Tech and Emory University in Atlanta, where she's continuing her research on how to create the most innovative biological equipment to treat a variety of diseases. So Olga had funding, she had Goldwater funding, she had funding from us, and this is something that we offer students at a level that for a state school in this country, I'm just gonna say it, no one can match us. Next slide, please. Something that I've launched recently, and I think is very important for retaining and recruiting top students, is the Honors College Futures Hub. This is not an advising center. This is your professional self center. What's your next step? How will you fit in study abroad? How will you pick study abroad that will benefit your choice of med school, law school, graduate school, or link you to industry better? How do you do research? How do you set up a research mentor like Dr. Jensen, whom you saw on the previous slide? How do you reach out to faculty? How do you secure an internship? How do you do civic engagement and also juggle a pretty demanding honors course load? Our Futures Hub is peopled with the most brilliant individuals committed to honor students 24/7. And I am not exaggerating that. I think an honor student in distress could call one of my team at 3 a.m. and get an answer. So here you see Monica Moore, who is our expert on the health professions, talking to actually former staff worker in this honors college who's now in medical school, Olivia. And they're discussing the medical school process. Monica also teaches a course for us every spring with Dr. Mac Ivy in biological sciences called Med School. What is med school? What do you do in med school? How do you get to med school? What is a personal statement like in med school? Bringing in doctors to talk about med school admissions or actually their jobs. Bringing in alumni who are already practicing medicine or in medical school. So we are doing that next professional self, whether it's med school, law school, business school, or right into the workforce. And the Futures Hub is there to help students. And that's the great framework: study abroad, research, civic engagement, academics, and what do you want to do next? Next slide, please. Why be in honors? I get that question a lot nowadays. I would say for any student who wants to go to med school, it's the undergraduate research piece. We send students to Johns Hopkins to go to med school. Johns Hopkins does not take students who do not have research experience. So it's kind of becoming normative that to be in honors, to engage in undergraduate research, is not just something that is even just a value added. In some things for the next step, it is a basic requirement. But there are other perks as well. You get to register for your classes first. We have all kinds of special programming and events here that are designed for you. We have beautiful study spaces. And alumni, if you haven't had the chance to come back and tour your Hart Hall and our beautiful study lounges and our offices, I'll take you on a tour. Just contact me. We also have a designated honors dorm that was totally refurbished not long ago. It's a beautiful place to live. It's a great intellectual community, but the students in Hotz Hall have fun too. Next slide, please. And I often get a question, well, how do you be a Razorback and be in the Honors College? Well, we have a lot of honor students who are gaga for the Razorbacks, by the way. And that's one of the reasons they want to come here. They want the high-end intellectual experience the Honors College gives them, but they also want the kind of big university life that many of us enjoy. But I would also say, it isn't the case that you can be an honor student and not participate in athletics. Now here we see we see two of our former fellows, and they are champion pole vaulters. You may actually know them, Lexi and Tori. They're amazing. They're twins. They were both biochemistry majors. They graduated Phi Beta Kappa. They both had 4.0s. And now they're studying for pharmacy school. And they, of course, are going to go to the Olympics. Now, I'm not saying all Honors College fellows, and they were fellows, that they have to have this kind of profile to be in honors and to be in athletics, but I think you can see that it's possible to engage in things other than academics, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Truly exceptional. 4.0 in biochemistry plus pole vaulting. Who does that? Next slide. Also, another thing that my predecessor, Bob McMath, began, and I think is crucial to the success of any public honors college, is diversity and inclusion and equity. So in 2014, the Honors College established the PATH program. And this is a path for gifted students for underrepresented populations and geographies to actually come to the University of Arkansas and receive first-rate mentoring, advising, programming, and basically building a kind of family cohort here in the Honors College. We have recently won a second NSF grant to add money and scholarships for these brilliant students. In fact, I would say they're so close to us in so many ways. And here you see the director of the PATH program, Xochitl Delgado Solenzano, and she's running an exceptional program, and includes students from all different diverse backgrounds, but they can also be from diverse social and economic classes. They can be from geographies, like way up in the Ozarks where we don't get students, or in the Delta. So we are offering scholarship monies to this talented pool, and again, giving them that exceptional path for them to pursue opportunities that they might not have had they chosen a smaller school closer to home. So we're very committed to the PATH program, and they go through a similar process like the Honors College Fellows. There's an interview system, and we end up with faculty mentors for the students. And the mentoring that they get in the Honors College is second to none, I would say. So again, NSF money, Walton family money has really transformed, I think, the Honors College in terms of its diversity, equity, and inclusion profile, but we do have more work to do. Next slide. Well, I guess that's the last slide. So in the Honors College, and you can check out our website. We have a whole series of great videos, including videos from study abroad. If you want to watch an awesome video about the Peru trip that I mentioned, or even the trip where I took 18 gifted students from 4 different academic colleges on the old medieval pilgrimage route from Paris to Compostela in Spain. And along the way, we made a half-hour documentary you can watch, and you can see their adventures and their scholarship as they present on site. Truly exceptional. Well, I will end it there, and I'm happy to take questions. I hope that wasn't too long. No, perfect. Half hour.
All right, yeah, if you have any questions for Dr. or Dean Coon here, you can put them in the chat, or if you'd like to unmute yourself and ask a question, feel free to do that as well. We have one from Leanne Morton here for you, Dean.
All right.
What could we, the alumni, do to assist the college and the students?
You know, I would say there's several ways to do that. One is we're always looking for mentors for these students or professional advisors. You know, someone that we can put the students into contact with. So let's say you're a lawyer or a doctor, or you're working in industry, and you might be willing to sort of help a student further their path. That's one way. Of course, another way is fundraising. PATH program has been very successful in fundraising. We're actually a very small honors college staff here, and we don't have a lot of designated money for all the programming we're doing. So in some ways, I would say we want to continue these fabulous classes and all these experiences, but a lot of our money is actually in the fellowship endowment, in the study abroad endowment, and in the research endowment. So I think there's several ways that you can do that, connecting with our students, but also thinking philanthropically. Even small donations from a lot of people make a big difference.
I know that some people may not know that on-campus classes started this week. So how has that been going so far, given the all new technology people are having to work with and whatnot?
Well, I can tell you because I'm teaching.
Awesome.
I am teaching the history of Christianity to about 70 students, and we're using Zoom. And, you know, because I use a lot of visuals, the nice thing about Zoom, although I'd rather be face-to-face, I think those students would rather be face-to-face. That's true, but, you know, such is life. We also want to be safe. But the advantage is I can put up an image, say, of an ancient synagogue, and they really can look at it in a way that I think in a class it's not as effective. But also when I have discussion, you know, with 70 people, it's difficult, right? You end up talking to 10 people. But I think that in a way, Zoom makes it more democratic, because just like now, I'm going to let them participate in the chat, and we can grade the chat. So maybe you have a student that's a little shyer, doesn't want to just get out there, but still has done all the reading and knows what they want to say. This is what I would say is the great innovation of this kind of teaching. In some ways, it's more inclusive. So it isn't all negative. Right. Now, I'm happy to get back in the classroom, but I'm wondering if that chat feature couldn't somehow still be part of the classroom even when it's live.
Yeah.
I mean, I love discussion. I love the interactive. So, but sometimes that's not always as fair to everyone. You know what I mean?
Right, right. We have another question for you here. How are you navigating international travel experiences for students now that travel is on hold?
Well, because I have the most amazing and agile staff ever, anywhere. They pivoted real fast to virtual international internships.
Oh.
So we partnered them with individuals abroad, whether that's corporate or academic. And we actually, in some cases, have had funding for that. We've worked through study abroad. It's actually, in a way, because now I feel like now that they've made connections, you know, if they're still here, they're not seniors, they can go back with funding and go physically on site. They might actually be an advantage, to tell you the truth, having made these kinds of connections.
Right, right. What are the 5-year plans for the Honors College, or what are some of the ideas?
Well, we actually are in the middle of creating our next strategic plan. We created one in 2016, and we actually realized the entire plan, which is kind of weird. Again, that's a testimony not to me, but to the amazing crew that I have working in the Honors College. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is top on the list. We need to think better, and this is a national problem in honors, right? Mm-hmm. Honors colleges tend not to be as diverse. Well, it depends on where you are, okay? Honors at the University of Texas at Austin is diverse, but it's very small, and they bring in students on funding, and they have large urban centers in Texas to draw on in a way that I think Arkansas doesn't. We need to do a lot better at diversity, equity, and inclusion in the Honors College. And that's something we're massively committed to. We're also committed to this Futures Hub. I would say that's another one of our big priorities. When I go out on the road with the recruiters, the parents, and some of the alumni might be parents, send us your kids. One of the things I always get asked about is, what about advising? Now, there's great advisings in the colleges, right? You know, which class to take, this and that, and this and that. But I think the job of an honors college is to go kind of above that. I mean, we're not the curricular advisors for colleges. We're that value added, right? advice about your next professional self. And so I would say that's another really important point for us. I think getting more external funding, expanding our seminars, getting more students in international research positions funded, international internships, expanding our links with industry through the Futures Hub, getting students more domestic internships, and getting money for students to take unpaid internships, which is often what happens in the non-STEM world, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, fine arts, music, history, liberal arts in general. So I guess it's that your next professional self is we're really ramping that up. How about that?
Awesome. So you mentioned kind of some of the plans we have at Arkansas. How does our honors college and the students here compare to some of the other honors colleges here in the SEC?
Well, you know, I actually know every dean of every honors college in the SEC. And I know the profile. I visited almost all the campuses, so I can actually really answer that. I will say there are great students at every school. In fact, I don't care what school you're at. And faculty know this best. You know, you could be at a really small school in the middle of somewhere, I don't know where, and you're still going to have amazing students. Community college is still going to have amazing students, right? But I would say our comparison is that no one can top us for study abroad money, internal study abroad money, nobody. Nobody can top us for this kind of research funding that we do. I think that this is going to sound arrogant, but it is true. I think we're a lot more visionary. That is, we are creating the Honors College of the 21st century. Whereas what I've seen, and I won't name names because I love my colleagues, they're all great. I think a lot of times the curriculum is still looking backwards. Whereas, you know, right now we're doing an Honors College forum on blockchain, which anybody that knows blockchain, this is something that really has only been around since 2008 during that Great Recession. I've got 12 honors students, some of them freshmen, who came in thinking, I want to learn about blockchain. I'm like, okay, this is not the 20th century anymore, right? So, and I will say the Walton College has been beneficial here because they have a very forward-looking, you know, curriculum. And I think that that's what the Honors College should have. Data science, you know, it should be looking ahead. I'm a medieval historian, so this is kind of weird. I don't think you always need to be looking back to a traditional curriculum in the 21st century.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So you mentioned kind of how COVID has changed some of the stuff that you're dealing with now. How do you see the Honors College integrating some of the changes that you're having to do right now as it continues? I'm assuming you won't go back to everything just being like it was since we've had to deal with this.
No, in fact, I do think that there is some innovation here, but that's not dismissing how serious this is, right? And there are people dying. This is not, yeah, it's not a light matter. I will say that right now, this spring, we're doing a forum, no, this fall, we're doing a forum called Arctic Climate Change. And it is virtual. It's partnering 16 honor students here with students from the University of Michigan and students at a university in Siberia in Russia. And so this would not have happened probably. It might have happened, but not to the way it's happening now. With our students, they're more comfortable with it, for one thing. And it's involving all of these international players in Arctic climate change, and even bringing some industry people in from Russia, especially the oil industry, as you can imagine. I think that's the thing to continue, or to float a couple of these 1-hour forums out there that break all the geographical boundaries, right? And bring in people from multiple different institutions. And yeah, and in fact, guess which school had the most students sign up? Yeah, I think it was the University of Michigan. There was multiple schools, but we brought the most. We brought the most students. Of course, we did, because we're kind of a talent scout.
That's outstanding.
College.
Well, we'll do a couple more questions here from people. Just a reminder, you can put your question in the chat, or if you'd like to unmute yourself, either one. here's one we have. It's what is the Honors College doing in these unique times to help students form networks with fellow honors students while maintaining social distancing?
That is great. We are still doing face-to-face classes. And we have our beautiful first floor study lounge equipped into the most beautiful classroom space on campus. It has a fireplace, which we will put on, by the way, and when it gets colder. Everything is socially distanced. Each student has their own desk, and everything's unupholstered, and it's working pretty well, by the way. And we're also recording it because, as we all know, in the era of COVID, has foregrounded the problem of access to the internet. And that's certainly true in Arkansas, big time, right? There are big pockets of no internet. So we have to be mindful that we got to figure out ways to get students who have problems or their communication breaks down access. But yesterday, I did an hour-long dean's chat with students. And I had a great group of students show up. And they, you know what, they form strong bonds when they meet virtually, because I guess this is a different generation, right? We did this all summer long, and all of a sudden the kids that came all the time are now this kind of, I saw them together and they didn't know each other at all. They sort of created a network through these online engagements. So we're switching programming. In fact, we did a virtual social on Monday. We had 111 students show up.
Wow.
And yeah, it's in some ways, I think it might be a way to start virtually, and then you'll see them together physically, socially distance, of course, but I think that it helps students because they're saying, well, what major are you? And, you know, I had biomedical engineering, and I had English, and I had, you know, pre-med, and I had all kinds of different types of students who wouldn't have met each other. It's kind of like a seminar, I guess, in a way that we do.
Right.
Because one of our main aims is not to have students from the same college, but to put the classical studies major next to the chemical engineering major, next to the nursing, you know, et cetera, et cetera.
Right, right. That's great. Well, it looks like we don't have any more questions right now, but, oh, wait. Mary?
I'd like to just say, yeah, hey, this is Mary Purvis from the Fajon School.
Hey, how you doing?
I really enjoyed your talk today. I got to learn a little bit more about the Honors College, and this is why I love these lunch and learns every week, because I've learned, you know, when I can participate, I do, and I've learned so much that I didn't know. So thank you for taking the time to share with the rest of us. And I always enjoy working with John Treat too. So.
Oh, he's right here.
John.
Well, I hear you're just an awesome fundraiser, so.
But it's nice because I can probably speak for my colleagues. We get so engrossed in what we're doing. So these are a great chance to get to learn more about what the other units are doing and a little bit of information that we didn't know. So thank you very much.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming. You guys, by the way, your college has great students.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I don't make Dean McKeith happy.
No, it's true. I mean, I've spent a lot of time with some very, very fine honor students in Fajon, so yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, if we don't have any more questions, I know, Dean Coon, you have a busy schedule with students back on campus this week, so we will wrap it up here. But I want to thank you, Dean Coon, so much for taking the time out of your day for joining us.
Anytime.
Today. We really appreciated that, and I want to thank everyone else for joining us too.